Okay. Here we go. What is your name and where are you from?
My name's Ed Cruz, and I'm from Claremore, Oklahoma.
Right. How did you originally hear about my lessons?
I actually saw it on YouTube.
Hmm.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I love the instructional, and so as far as piano, yours was the first one. I just looked at it and I immediately just connected with it. Like I said before, I mean, just I could tell visually that being a guitar player, this was going to work very well for me to learn piano.
Right. And before I forget, I know we're in the questions here, but I would love if you have a clip of yourself playing. I would love to see what you can do on guitar.
Oh, okay. I do have some YouTube clips out there. The only thing
Yeah, or,
about
yeah. Send me a link. I would love to see on. I'm
the
just
thing I
you
tell
got me
everybody
real
about
curious.
every YouTube clip I have is done live, one take, raw with
Okay.
a iPhone. So they're not too bad, but they're not produced.
That's
So
all. That's all of us, man. That's all of us.
yeah.
But I'm really curious. Your guitar playing now. You got me interested.
Okay.
What did you like most about learning from my method?
That I could quickly gosh, what was there was a Beatles song, Hey Jude.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to learn that. I wanted to get it, and I could quickly, like I said, I write it on my whiteboard exactly what you had for the chords there. And
Uh huh.
every time I sat down at the piano, I could just practice it, and it didn't take long, and I could immediately feel connected to the song because it just happened to be the song that was in my head that day that I was just really enjoying. And so that's what I like
Awesome.
best is I can just get to and play and feel the connection quickly.
Yeah. Ned, do you notice or care that I've always um, done my best to give you exactly what the artist is doing, whatever I'm hired to do, if it's a cover or an album version or a live version, Elton John, whatever it may be. I always try to give people the best humanly possible, accurate transcription that I can give you. Do you notice that? Do you care?
I do, and I think it's very important when you're beginning and when you're trying to learn. At least it is for me because I really have to know. It's like when you're singing a song. It's like every syllable is important.
Yeah.
But after you've been doing it for a long time and stuff, I understand why a lot of guitarists will say, well, it doesn't have to be exact. You can improvising, and I get that as you get more advanced and
Yeah.
things like that. But when you're beginning in an intermediate and stuff, it just seems so important to like be able to hear it and be shown exactly how it was done originally so that you can get that, and then it gives you the ability to do improvise or do things later. So
Awesome. Thank you. Um, what makes my method different from other online piano lessons?
well, I haven't ventured out into any other online methods, so I'm
Everybody
sorry I
says
can't.
that.
I know. I just once I saw that and that method and just the visual, I just really haven't. Like I say, now with guitar, obviously I do spend more time there, so I did.
Mhm.
But with piano, since I just enjoy playing and having that to go back to, I haven't tried to venture out into other methods or styles or anything.
Yeah, people have told me that. They said once
Yeah,
they got on, they didn't really use anything else. So that's
yeah,
good for business.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
I don't
Uh,
know of anything that's out there.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with my lessons?
Yeah, I would say 10. I don't
Awesome,
have
thank you.
anything. I've always really enjoyed it.
And the last one here: would you recommend me to a family member or a friend, and if so, why?
Yes, I would if I had a kind of same thing. Most of my family members and friends haven't picked up an instrument, so unfortunately, and it is tough when you're really starting. I fortunately I always said, it is great to have a certain musical ability, but really the ability is to be able to do the same thing over and over and over
Yes,
and not get bored. And I just had
yes.
that from the time I was a little kid. I was just like, I
Hmm.
wanted to play it again. I said, no, I can do it better the next time. Give it
Yep.
a, and I just nobody else in my family seems to have that particular
Let me
habit.
ask you this, Ed, because I have that too. So does my son. Are
Yeah,
you able to block out everything else and concentrate on one task only? You do that pretty well.
I do that pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes maybe your wife gets upset because you can do that so well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have to go off and play. That's why I have a piano in just about every room, so I
Oh,
can go. because I
Oh,
can't
that's
always sit
great.
down at the baby grand piano and play, you know.
So
But
what do
that
you
was one
have?
thing that
What?
was nice. You know, all of the digital pianos are all weighted keys and
Yeah,
everything, and that makes a difference. But
yeah,
I was glad that I did get, before I had a baby grand piano, I did try to sit down and play one, and I noticed that it just was a slightly different feel and it was harder to play. So
yeah,
now that I'm used to it, it makes it, you know, where I can kind of play if I'm out and there's a piano and somebody says, "Hey, you play piano."
yeah.
At least I can sit down and play something and
No,
feel comfortable. But,
yeah.
you
I
know,
love that you have an acoustic, grand that you play on. Everybody's going to the electronic ones, and of course, I have to have them. But that's always my favorite to play on a real good piano.
right,
So
just
what
the.
do you have?
I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. I can't think of it right offhand. I did go to a nice piano store. Nice young
Is it
guy
a
had been doing it
Kauai
with.
or Kauai
Well,
Yamaha? Huh?
it wasn't. It was a new brand that came out.
Boston?
It's something at Boston and something.
There's a Boston piano that Steinway makes. I'm just guessing.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's got two names. It's like two people's last names, and I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
But it was a, you know, like say the young guy, I bought it from his dad, and they'd been in piano business their his whole life, and so he
Uh-huh.
was very good. And so he recommended this one for me. And the only thing that was really odd is, you know, I had to have the disc that where you could have the player piano where it would
Oh
play,
yeah.
because I thought, well, then I'll be able to see, and this will be
Yeah.
very helpful to learn the
Okay.
song. And I was really kind of, it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's nice to hear, like you can hear an
Yeah.
Elton John song playing, and you
But
can
the keys
kind of
don't
see
move
the
down.
keys are moving. They're moving too fast, and you can't really see, and you can't slow it down
Yeah.
and loop it or anything like that. So it's not a feature I would recommend for instructional purposes.
Yeah. Hey, that
Yeah.
would be a good learning tool if someone came out with something that was really good at that.
And could loop it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
You
that's the
could.
thing with the guitar stuff. So much as you know, I can loop it, and I can watch instructional videos and loop them and things like that. And
Yeah.
uh, there's a
Well, Ed,
little.
it's
Sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead. What were you saying there?
Oh no, I didn't know if you'd ever seen. There's a little foot pedal switch that you can hook to your computer called a Vidami.
Uh huh.
If you've seen that, but it's nice because if you're sitting there watching YouTube, you can just push the button. You can do it with your foot or hand,
Yeah.
but you can start it and stop it and loop it, and that helps a lot when you're
That
trying
would
to
be
learn something.
great for my transcribing. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, in fact, when I bought it, it was when it first came out and they were hardwired, but they actually make a Bluetooth one now. I wish I
Okay.
had, because then you wouldn't be tethered to the cord. But yeah, it's Vidami. But the
So it'll
Vidami,
it'll Vidami.
yeah, I'm just going to show you. Here's what it looks like. It's a little
Oh
foot
wow.
pedals and so when you're watching YouTube,
Yeah.
you can forward, pause, loop, change the speed, fast, slow. So and it
Can you
works.
choose how much it goes back? Can you say, can you have it, go back, 5 seconds and have it always go back 5 seconds?
I don't remember if it's adjustable. I think you
Okay.
may have to multiply hit back. It may be set to
Okay.
like so many seconds automatically.
All right.
But I do know it also works with other, like Sound Slice. I don't know if you've seen Sound Slice, but
Mm.
uh, Sound Slice is where, like, if you have tab and it'll sit there and the bar will go as it's playing,
Okay.
and so you can loop that and click. But this just gives you, when you got your guitar in your hand,
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
sure.
hard to sit there and keep going with the mouse.
Uh-huh.
Where this, you could either do it with your foot. I find it's a little bit easier just to set it on my desk and I can just reach up there and pop buttons or set
Okay.
loops and things like that. But yeah, that's been very helpful, and I'm sure it could be used for some
Yeah,
other.
because that's what I'm doing every day. So I'm on a video and I'm having to transcribe. And if I had an easier way to fast forward, the problem is that the normal fast forward goes 10 seconds and I don't need it to go back 10 seconds. I need maybe five. And if I can adjust it to go 5 seconds, that would
Yeah,
be perfect.
I've never tried. I don't know if it may be programmable, but
Yeah.
mm,
Well, Ed, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thanks for taking some time for me today on short notice. And my
yeah,
business
sure.
coaches won't going to griddle me here, so because I've gotten enough testimonials today. I really appreciate it. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you, and I'll follow up with you and send you a link on one of my videos.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll send you that Google review link too. So, but I look forward to seeing your guitar playing. I'm really curious.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
Hello, Ed. How are you doing, sir?
Uh, excuse me,
Can
can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can now. Yes.
Okay, good. Great. Technology is great when it works. Very
Oh
frustrating when
yeah.
it doesn't. Wow. Well, what I'm seeing here behind you, all those guitars. Wow, you're a guitar player. You're a big guitar player,
Yeah.
and
I
guitar
have been ever
collector.
since I was little, and most of the time I put my filter on so that people don't see it, but I figured you could appreciate
Oh
the
yes,
guitars and stuff. So,
I love, and that's not a mirror. Those are guitars all the way around.
oh yeah, you're not even getting to see some of the other ones
Oh
that
my
are.
gosh,
Yeah, it goes.
Ed,
Well, of
I'm
course.
going to turn you up just a second. I can't quite hear you, and I need to turn you up on the computer. Just a second, sir.
Okay.
Okay, that ought to be better.
That is better.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. Wow. So I want to hear. Well, we'll get into everything, but I want to hear your guitar background here first. So it's really nice to meet you. And how long have you been following my lessons? How long have?
Gosh, when you first started,
Yeah.
the very first time you offered memberships and life memberships,
Yeah.
I jumped on it. So I can't even remember how many years ago that was.
It's several at least. You know, five. You think
About
5 to
six or
10 or something?
seven.
About
Yeah,
seven. Yeah.
it's
That's kind of what I'm hearing from everyone. I have a guy coming on when he gets back from his vacation. He's from the UK and he's been with me for all 18 years. So I'm looking forward to
wow.
his and what's neat is you guys have been with me for so long, and I'm looking at the last time people logged in because I can tell that on the site, and they've logged in yesterday or last week or last month or something. So everyone is still using all the lessons. So that's very encouraging to me. But Ed, I want to hear your background in your guitars here. What's the story behind all the guitars?
Well, yeah. So my grandfather got me started playing when I was 10. And so I've got his guitar. And, I started with old folk music. But I was a teenager in the 80s. So I've got an Eddie Van Halen guitar and I played a lot of that kind of stuff. But later on, when I went back I primarily do acoustic now. And I do mainly finger style. I go to the
Yeah.
Chet Atkins convention usually, every summer. And I
Ah.
just got back from a guitar weekend up in Canada where I was taking lessons for about 4 or 5 years with a guy named Don Ross. And so I
Okay.
don't know if you know Don Ross, but he had won the fingerstyle championship twice here in the U.S. And of course, because of Zoom, I could
Yeah.
sit here in Oklahoma and I could do lessons with him while he was touring in Europe and stuff. But
Oh
he
wow.
was the guy that really helped get Andy McKee started,
Wow.
with everything. So yeah, and so I just got to reconnect with him. And so I've just been playing a lot of fingerstyle. And early on, I tried to start with the piano, and I mean, I'm talking about back when I was 10, 11
Sure.
years old. It was
Sure.
just so frustrating because I couldn't work my hands independently. But
Okay.
after I got through that barrier of playing guitar, to where my brain could just kind of do things different, then
Mm-hmm.
that's when I went back to the piano. And yours is the only piano instructional system that I use or do because it's kind of my secondary, but I get very immersed in it at times. Like I've had times where I, would go out and play songs for people out, and I haven't done that in a long time because I kind of shift. But that's what I love about having the lifetime membership is
Yeah.
it really sets to where this year I was planning on trying to focus towards the end of the year some more on piano.
Uh-huh.
But I might go off onto guitar for a while. I also teach at university, so I get really big into education and reading. And
What do you
so
teach?
I teach at the university. I teach history, but
Okay.
as a contract teacher, I teach resilience skills to people who are in high stress jobs
Okay.
based on positive psychology. So I'm retired from the military. I did over 30 years and retired to
Oh,
just play
wow.
music mainly. But I do love teaching, so I kind of do that. But anytime I'm home, I'm playing guitar or piano,
Uh-huh.
and I love your system. I have a piano set up. You see one in the background, but that's actually not my main one.
Yeah.
But I have one set up that's right. I got a whiteboard right over it, and that
Okay.
way I can write down if I'm
Okay. Wow,
practicing a
that's
section.
interesting. I'd
I've
love to
got
see
it
a
right
picture of
there.
that.
Yeah, so I do that. But I have a baby grand piano, and I love the sound of it. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. And so I really will always come back to piano, but I haven't over the last year. I've been so focused on other things. I haven't really done much, but I want to get back because how you forget if what you don't practice. I kind of forget. This happens on guitar too, but the good thing
Uh-huh.
is once I focus on it, it comes right back. It's like,
Yes, it does.
yeah,
I want everyone to hear that. A lot of people are going to watch this, and I want everyone to hear that. And can you say that again?
so the songs that I learned in the past and played, I love that because I put in the time, even though I might not have practiced them in a while, I can always go back and work with the instructional, and it's just the learning curve is a lot shorter. So
Yeah,
I
it
do
comes
like.
back. It's in there somewhere. You just have
Mhm.
to get it back out, and you're not starting from zero when you go back to it. And music is like they say riding it is like riding a bicycle in a way, but it's in there somewhere. Especially even if you did it as a kid, and I've had people have decades before they go back to piano, and the stuff still comes back to them. Music is like that. So I'd like to encourage anybody who's out there thinking that they've forgot everything and they got to start all over. You don't. Whatever you really learned, it's in there somewhere. You can dig it back out. So you didn't? Did you actually learn to read music, like traditional music notation?
I never have learned to read music, and so as a guitarist, I could read tab like most
Sure.
people, and so your system there works really great because I understand once I learned a little bit of music theory, that
Hmm.
helped a lot. That
Yeah.
helped so that at least I kind of had an understanding of the chords and the notes and things like that. But I can't sight read sheet music or anything. But having a little bit of music theory is important because
Yeah.
just kind of understanding as soon as you see the chords as you write them out and things like that,
Yeah.
I think is important, and that does help.
And Ed, I
And
think
so,
you said something really good there. You may not have realized it, but you learn theory without having to be able to sight read music notation. You can
absolutely.
still learn chords. You can still learn how the chords fit together and what to expect. Um, so reading music is not a requirement to learn those things and to play because you're doing it. You're an example of it.
Oh, yeah, and the piano is really laid out much better
Yeah.
than the guitar for that. It really is. So, just learning the circle of fifths and your
Mhm.
major sevens and things like that is very important. And it's nice to be able to go back and forth between the instruments, but the piano is really nice for it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's all right there in front
For
of
the
you.
understanding. So I
Yeah.
like to explain to people, you'll understand this as a guitar player, but if you were going to learn theory on guitar, it'd be like having, and you translated the piano, you'd have six pianos and with six keyboards, and you'd have to play a different note on each keyboard in a different place and try to
Yeah.
make sense of that. And have it be, a C on one keyboard would be in another place because you can't really see that on the guitar strings. And then you get on the piano and it's laid out where you can see it, then and you hear it and seeing it. Then when you go to guitar and you hear the same thing, bingo! It just makes a connection. This is what a chord is and what a scale is. So you're a guitar player who plays piano. A lot of my members are that. Drummers, guitar players, and I think the guitar community has figured it out because there was classical music for guitar. People play classical guitar, people play classical piano, but the guitar community has figured out tabs and chord sheets and just feeling and listening to rhythms. But the piano community is kind of stuck up as far as, and we're stuck with this 300-year-old way of doing it with the music notation and the classical. All the books that a teacher could buy if you're going to teach piano, poor piano teachers, they're all geared pushing you toward classical music. They all are. Even if some of them
Right.
have cute, fun little songs, they're all pushing you towards that classical tradition. And the thing is, most people don't want to do that. They want to play Billy Joel, Elton John, the Eagles, the Beatles. They want to play, fun stuff, And
Exactly.
so, well, as you looked at my tablet show, so that immediately clicked for you. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. As soon as I saw it, as you were writing up on the board, I said, "That's perfect. That's just to me, it's like tab for piano.
Yeah.
It's like I could immediately see it. I saw where it's going. I could write it on my board as I was practicing it. And because I do, and you do this with guitar, you're looking at the tab and you're practicing, practicing, but eventually it all becomes internal and you just know
Yes.
the song and you know it from end to end. And so and then you don't need it. But I would I did that a lot, early on. So Guitar Magazine they would tab out Billy Joel, like
Yeah.
say Piano Man, and but they were transferring it to so you could play it on guitar.
Uh huh.
And this was back in the '90s,
I
early
remember
'90s.
those.
Yeah, and so I didn't see your stuff at that time, and so I would have to sit down with a pencil and I would tab it back to
Yeah.
piano,
Uh
and that's how I
huh.
learned to play Piano
Yeah.
Man, and they would have a little bit of Van Halen's Jump sequence in there, and I'd have to sit down there and convert because I could see with a tab what that note was, and then convert it back to, and it's very tedious and it takes a long time.
But I was going to say, you sound like you have a tolerance for tedious and meticulous things. I do too.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to learn how to play jump really bad.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And so I was that and Piano Man. Those were two of the ones I remember specifically that they did. So,
Yeah. I love jump. My son, I didn't realize this. My son, Evan, he's going to be 19. He is a guitar player and he didn't, I mean, I tried to get him to play early and it just didn't work. He finally, I just set an electric guitar in his room and an amp. And he's like, "Why are you putting that in here?" And I said, "It's going to stay here. I'm going to show you how to turn it on. You're going to watch me how to turn everything on. And you can just let it sit here if you want to." And of course, my plan worked. He actually started playing and now he's amazing. In 2 years, he can play anything. I mean, anything. He learns Cliffs of Dover in 2 days, and we're
wow.
playing that for a gig coming up. But he really showed me the genius of Eddie Van Halen. I knew
Oh,
he was great, but I had no idea because if you only listen to the hits, you only get a little piece of it. He has classical stuff. He's played on the classical guitar. He's played Spanish music. He's played any way you can do, with a guitar. He's done it. He's, invented ways that to play guitar, and he's even, got into the keyboard realm and written some really cool keyboard stuff. So I became really impressed with his music, his as a composer. I call him a composer.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Incredible. Um, so moving on here, I wanted to see to ask you about some particular songs on the website. What are you like on a good day? You want to go in and learn something. What artist are you looking for? What kind of types of music are you into that you want to play for yourself?
Well, I think what I end up looking for is not I don't get stuck on one artist like, okay, I want to learn every Elton John song out there, even though they're all great. I
Hmm.
just I go looking for songs that just something that so don't stop believing. You
Oh
just
yeah,
know that's the great song, a Journey song. That's one I want. Um, with Billy Joel. And so there are particular artists that I'll go look for a song, but I don't try to learn necessarily multiple songs, but just like kind of hitting the
yeah, sure,
80s and 90s top hits list, because
yes,
they're just ones that resonate with me. And
yeah,
then it's neat too. Sometimes somebody will mention a song and I'll think, wow, I hadn't, thought about that song in
hmm,
years. It might be something by Styx or something. And
yeah,
I can go out to your website and look and it's usually there, right?
yeah.
It's because
Well,
and
I've been
so
doing it
it's
for
neat.
18 years, so there's there's plenty on there. So what when you look like that's interesting. When you get and look in the library of the song lessons, what do you think about that? Is it usually I mean, like you said, you usually can find what you want, but what do you think about the selection that's on there altogether when you go to find something to work on?
Well, I think it's got obviously there's a large catalog, so I can usually find what I'm looking for there. I haven't spent as much time, but the last time I was out there, it looks like there were some things that were just strictly educational because I
Hmm.
have wanted to spend a little more time, come up with a good warm up routine and
Yeah.
practice to get my fingering and just to feel the piano. And I
Hmm.
noticed you'd put some things out there like that, and I want to spend more time digging into that because I think that would be helpful.
That's interesting,
Um,
Ed, because I'm actually thought about putting videos up for how to play all the scales, all the arpeggios, all the broken chords, because I thought no one would be interested in that, but you guys seem to be willing to get into it and work on some of these technical things if it's going to help your technique, and it really will. I just have
mhm.
never done it because I thought no one would want it, but I'm hearing people say, yeah, I would like that, so I'm considering
Well,
doing
in
that.
my so I started working with when I started going to Nashville. I started working with another artist named Brooks Robertson.
Uh huh.
He had learned from Buster B. Jones back was his mentor, and he would have me do these banjo rolls and banjo rolls and banjo rolls, and I was like, okay, and I would do them and I would do them, and it's absolutely true. It just helps you play songs that you want to learn to play because now you're just so used to doing banjo rolls and
Right.
reverse rolls, and so you practice them, and when you're practicing them, like you're not really making a song. I mean, I guess it's technically
Yes.
you're making music, but you're not making a song. But it works, and so I do think
Right.
having something where I could go practice arpeggios for me would make me a
Yeah.
better player because I have had that tendency to eh, jump right into songs to begin, which is great because it's
Hmm.
fun. It does make it fun, but then after you start wanting to maybe be able to do more complicated or complex
Yeah.
stuff, I think the practicing the arpeggios and stuff would be very helpful for me because I've never taken any piano lessons
Yeah.
other than just straight from your
Yeah.
website.
And a
So,
lot of the technique you can get just from playing the songs. There's a lot that can be done just from playing. And
mhm.
then those scales and arpeggios do help. They don't have to be done to death. You can, get into them a little bit and they're helpful. So, yeah, I'm really thinking about doing a series on that. Well, I want to get to these questions before I run out of time,
Okay.
and I got to pull them up. But my business coaches have a series of questions, and you might feel like you're repeating yourself a little bit. But if you wouldn't mind just answering them again. Uh, and then I'm gonna send you a Google link after this and an email. If you wouldn't mind just writing me a quick review on Google, that is really going to help me. It helps me in the SEO, search engine optimization they call it. But if you're in good with Google, you tend to do good. So
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
would help me if you wouldn't mind filling that out. Um, Here they are.